My guest at this time is a rising star in the world of drag, as well as the son of infamous ECW star New Jack. It's Washington Heights. Washington, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You're chatting with me with one less tooth than you had this morning. Is that correct?
Yeah, one less tooth and a bigger jaw and lip than I had earlier today.
You literally, so like an hour ago, you had a tooth removed from your head. Is that right?
Yeah. I went to the dentist around like 1 or 2, and I was like, will we be done? Because I have a Zoom interview I have to do later. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely see the New Jack in you when it's like, that's fine. Rip a tooth out. I'm gonna go do an interview right now. I don't know if
Right.
Also, small world. One of my co-hosts, EJ Cameron, Second City performer here in Chicago, went to school in Atlanta with your sister Brandy.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's a small world.
Yes, it is. So all of what I'm saying, Washington, is it's all coming together right now. There's a reason we're here in this moment. I had actually heard about you a while back, and I was like, what an interesting story, right? And I was waiting for the right time to come along to hit you up and get to know you better when people are buzzing about you. And right now, people are buzzing about you, Washington. You had this Vice piece run about you and your dad. How are you handling all the extra attention you're getting right now?
Well, as a drag queen and as New Jack's child, I love the attention.
Okay.
So, I've learned to stop reading comments. That's one thing that I have done. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love talking to people about it. I love answering questions, and I just love for people to like hear my side of the story.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's hear a little bit more about you because we're a RuPaul's Drag Race household. I've been to some drag shows in Boys Town. I know that you are successful. You started like a couple years ago. You've won some awards. Talk to us a little bit about your career thus far and as a drag queen.
So yeah, I started drag kind of sorry. My phone's being weird.
Don't worry, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Hold on, I think I'm putting my AirPods in because I can't.
Whatever you got to do right now, that's fine.
Hold on. Okay. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I started drag in 2014 kind of as a joke. I was working a show and I was like, oh, this is easy. I can do it. And one of the drag queens was like, all right, well, our next show, we want you to get in drag and participate. And I was like, great. But yeah, so it kind of just took off from there. I got serious about it around 2016, 2017. And then I started hosting my own show at Grand Central in Baltimore. And yeah, I kind of just like went and never stopped.
Yeah, it sounds that way. So what are some of the awards here and stuff you've won? I know in the article it mentioned a couple, but like talk to us about, because I don't think a lot of people know that like drag is like inherently competitive, right? Like I watch there's the balls and stuff. I don't know if those still happen. I don't know. That's a show that was in the 80s. But like it's a very competitive medium being a drag queen.
Yeah, so I won in 2018. I won Best Show Host. My show won Best Drag Show. The bar that I work at won Best Venue. And then I won Drag Performer of the Year in 2018. And then 2020, the show won Best Drag Show again. And then the bar won Best Bar. But yeah, it's I would say it's become less competitive, more of like, especially with the pandemic, it's become more of let's all work together and find things that like find ways to perform.
Oh yeah.
And like I guess get people to like come out and support us and show that like we're still here, even though some venues are closed. Like we've done shows on sidewalks in front of buildings, in parking lots.
Okay.
Like there, I did a show where we were performing mainly on the sidewalk, and the crowd was in like an entire lane of the street, and we didn't have it blocked off or anything. People were just standing there, and cars were driving around like it was normal. So
wow,
yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting field to be working in right now.
Wow. So, and how did you get your name, Washington Heights? Why'd you choose that name?
So I have so kind of like the way drag names and drag families work is if you don't have a name, you'll have what you call like a drag mother who will be like your mentor. And my drag mother's name is Brooklyn Heights. And we were at a show one time and I was like drunk and being stupid. And she was like, if I ever had a drag child, you would be my only child. And I was like, well, what would my name be? And right off the bat, she was like, Washington Heights. And so I texted her the next day. I was like, were you serious about that? She was like, yeah, girl. So I took on the name Washington Heights.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's awesome. And so
Yeah.
so is the end game, or not the end game, but is like a big goal of yours? Do you want to do RuPaul's Drag Race? I feel like you've got the street cred, sounds like, to go and, hang in that environment.
I mean, I would love to be on Drag Race, but I think I don't know if I want to be famous. I just want to be well known, and I want to travel. I just want to like share my art and stupidity with the world. I'm a very sarcastic, dry sense of humor person. Like I do really dumb things during my shows. Like I'm known for wearing camo Crocs during my shows and like riding Lime scooters around instead of walking or performing or dancing.
Okay.
So yeah, I just like to do, I wouldn't say different things, but things that make people be like, oh, I remember her. She's the one who wore the camouflage Crocs, or she's the one who rode a Lime scooter around the venue. So yeah, that's about all I want to do.
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk. So obviously this Vice piece, first of all, how did this come together? It sounds like you guys have been working on this Vice piece for a little while now, right?
Yeah. So when the original tweet went out, back in, I want to say it was end of August, I believe. Someone from Vice reached out to me and they're like, hey, we want to do an article if that's fine with you. I was like, yeah, I mean, I can answer any questions you have. And it kind of just went from there. We had like about a 45-minute phone conversation, and then they just asked me a bunch of questions, like growing up with New Jack, like what was he like our experiences together, me, if I was ever exposed to the wrestling stuff. And I actually thought they forgot about the article. And then I got a message about a week ago. They're like, oh, hey, just so you know, we're dropping the article tomorrow. I was like, oh, cool. Great. It's here.
Yeah. And then it all kind of got, then we got where we're here right now, and like you talk about a lot of the stuff that you were asked, and like, in the article, I didn't really get a whole lot of texture in regards to like, the relationship you had with your dad before kind of the last 3-4 years ago. So what was it like for you growing up as, the child of one of the children of New Jack?
I had a few friends who knew what ECW was. So like we were younger. So of course some parents wouldn't let them watch it because it was back then, it was kind of actually like super violent.
Yeah. What are you talking? Your dad. What are you talking about? Super violent? Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it was only cheese graters and like knives and picks being stabbed into people. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was like a normal childhood, really. I mean, I would, other than he was stabbing people for a living. We would hang out if he was in town visiting, but I do remember he always took me to Hooters for some reason. Like, let's see, I remember being in like second grade going to Hooters, and I was like, why are we here? And just seeing like a bunch of women with little clothing and huge boobs walking around. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just a pretty normal childhood, other than, he was messing people up in the wrestling ring. And I remember I would like see pictures and videos of him, and I would ask if that was real blood. He's like, no, it's ketchup. And I was like, oh, okay, it's ketchup, that's fine.
Wait, he told you that it was ketchup in these because like
yes.
you note in the article that like your dad would give you tapes of his for ECW to watch when you were like in middle school.
Yeah.
That was probably very reckless on your father's part, but whatever.
Yeah.
So like, what is your reaction like watching this stuff? Like, were you horrified? Were you intrigued? Like, what did you think?
I would say it didn't really affect me until, like you said, in middle school, when he gave me, it was, I think it was the Backyard Wrestling There Goes the Neighborhood Xbox game.
Okay.
And then there was also a DVD that he sent me that was like not an interview, documentary about him. And in one of the interviews, they're like, do you do cocaine when you wrestle? And am I allowed to like use profanity on here?
You can say whatever you want, Washington.
Okay. And he was like, y'all motherfuckers asked me if I'm high. You think I wouldn't be high jumping off that shit, hitting my head on all that shit? Of course I'm doing cocaine before wrestling matches. I was like, oh, so I'm in 7th grade learning that cocaine prevents you from feeling pain.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah.
That's a good father, son message there, I guess, depending on how you skew it. So was this all for show? Like around the house? Like what was he like? Just like normal dude? I don't know.
So we never lived together actually.
Okay.
But when he visited, I remember him living in Atlanta for a short period of time, and he was never be like the New Jack persona, like crazy out there trying to fight people in the streets, but he always had a reckless mouth. He always had a fucked up sense of humor, which I thought was funny, and that's probably where I get it from. Sure. But yeah, he was never like, I didn't really notice it as being like different. Like if I saw him on TV, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's my dad, blah, blah, blah. It looks the same and acts the same to me. So I guess he was just like the same, but just a little toned down. So like in the wrestling ring, he was a 10, and in person, he was probably like a 5 or 6.
That's still like, I mean, I guess it's just dad to you, but like your dad's terrifying, like,
yeah.
Even at a 5 or a 6, I'm like, I wouldn't mess with New Jack, like,
yeah.
What did your friends think? Were they like, we want to meet him, or like, we're scared of him, or like, we feel bad for you? Like, what were your friends' thoughts about your dad?
Well, I think for the most part, I kept it mostly like PG around them. I was like, oh yeah, he's a wrestler. I didn't say like, oh yeah, he takes a trash can with cheese graters and guitars to the ring and bashes people over the head. Sure. But a lot of my friends honestly weren't into wrestling, so we didn't talk about it that much.
Okay. All right, fair enough. What were you into?
I was into wrestling, but they weren't. But we are also like just into like sports and music, stupid shit like that.
Okay, I got you. So do you still watch wrestling? Are you a wrestling fan or no?
I actually recently started watching wrestling again. Mainly, I've been following a lot of the independent wrestlers online. Because I did a project with Billy Dixon that comes out October 29th, so tomorrow. And so I've just been following what they're doing online, and then I watch Effie has a Twitch stream on Mondays that I've been watching just to like get familiar with it again. But yeah, I'm trying to like become more familiar with things other than WWE. So I'm trying to expose myself and learn more about the other wrestling circuits and businesses that are around right now.
Okay, well then, I mean, my next logical question is, do you have interest in being a part of the pro wrestling business? I mean, you've got the buzz around you right now that I'm sure a bunch of, if you can take bumps, and want to have some fun, being you don't need to be your dad.
Right.
I think that there's a market for that. Do you have any interest in that or no?
Oh, I would love it. I would be the most dramatic, flashy, obnoxious person there is if I could be like not even just a wrestler, but like a manager. Okay. Or just like be around the ring. Because like I said, I love the attention. I love like the big pyrotechnics, the music, the flashy costumes. I would probably enjoy that more than drag if I could do that right now.
Okay, because like you mentioned Effie there. First of all, are you like friends with Effie? Do you guys know each other? Are you familiar or no?
No. So when the article dropped, or when my tweet went viral on Twitter, he followed me and DM'd me. He was like, just letting you know you have a lot of love and support from this community. And so that was really nice of him. And I was like, wait, there's like a community of queer people who like wrestling that I didn't know about. Yeah. And then same with Billy Dixon. They reached out, and like many other people who are a part of this queer community reached out and like, you have our support and we are here. Like there's more than, like I said, WWE. So there's a lot of us who either have similar stories to you, or we know people who went through the things you went through. So we're here to support you. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, you're a layup for Effie's Big Gay Brunch next year. You got a year to get it together, Look, I would love to. And if Effie hears this, Effie, please, I'd love to book me. Sweet. I'll tip him off. So right. Let's put that thing. So I'm guessing that you're familiar with Sunny Kiss then, correct? From AEW or no?
So the name sounds familiar, but I'm bad with like remembering names. So like if I see it on Twitter, I'm like, oh yeah. But then like in person, I'm like,
Sonny is the very flamboyant dancing star of AEW. That I don't know that I would call Sonny a drag queen per se.
Okay.
She's wonderful. Anyway, go find you and Sonny meet. You'll love each other. I promise. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna make it happen.
So let's get back to the piece here, though. So with you and your dad. So this has all come out. This has created a huge amount of attention. Have you heard from your dad since this has come out? Has there been a chance to try to reconnect, maybe?
I have not heard from him, like, to me directly, but I have heard things that he's had to say
right
about what I've allegedly put on the internet. I know he reached out to my sister and had some not nice things to say to her about me. And then I found out that Vice reached out to him for a comment on the article, and he watered down everything that he said. And there's been a couple of Instagram accounts who've posted things and tagged him in it. And he said something like, "Don't tag me in this silly shit," or stuff like that.
Man, that's gotta hurt, man. I'm so sorry to hear that.
I mean, like I said in the article, I wanted to get a reaction out of him, and I wanted to see if we could possibly, like, best case scenario, talk things out, work on our relationship. But from the Facebook Live that he did, which Vice censored, so he said there's a lot of things with my name on it, and "you little faggot motherfucker, you're not my son, you're a bitch." Once he said that, I was like, okay, so I know where he stands. But he still never reached out to me directly. I had people send me that video and be like, "Hey, just so you know, he said this." I'm like, well, doesn't surprise me. So
did he ever come across like homophobic or intolerant to you as a kid coming up? Was that like a part of the culture of him, or no?
There was one time he said something. My sister and I were like living together. Like, she moved in with my mom and I when I was in high school, and he's very like short-tempered, and I forget what we did, but we either did or said something he didn't like, and he said something along the lines of, "Y'all are disrespectful, and I don't want to talk to you or my gay fucking son." Wow. But then a few years after that, my sister said he's also said that if anyone had anything to say about me being gay, he would put them in their place, but I never heard him defending me. So
the accusation that you were gay would drive him to fight, not the fact that he would defend you just for who you are, I guess is what I'm trying to parse from.
Right.
That's rough. So no happy reconciliation in sight here, it sounds like, at the moment, between you two, eh?
Probably not. Nope.
That's very unfortunate. And what about your siblings? Are you close with the other people in your? I know in the piece you're like, I think I have 4 siblings. Like, what's the relationship? You all close or no?
So at one point he told me he had a football team worth of children, but I think we narrowed that down to 5. Okay. So I'm close with my oldest sister, Brandy. We grew up together. And then I recently reconnected with my next youngest sister, Ashley, who I believe lives in Ohio. And we're actually working to possibly meet within the next like 6 months or so. But the other 2, I don't know who they are, where they are, what they look like. So
wow, what a wild life you've had, Washington. And I'm glad to hear you and Brandy are close. Tell her that EJ says hi.
I will.
He was very like that was your dad came up in like the show a couple months ago, and he's like, "Yeah, did you know that I went to high school with his sister?" And I was like, "Really? Who wants to date her?" Then her dad comes after you. Anyway, yeah. I'd be scared. You're fantastic, Washington. I'm so happy to hear you're getting all this buzz and love, and I'm even happier to hear that you're not shying away from the pro wrestling community. I love the idea of you getting to come and be a part of that world as well. That's so awesome to hear, that you're not like tainted from the business because of all the personal stuff going on in your life.
Oh yeah, I've built up like thick skin, and I'm like, I love the entertainment aspect of everything, and then I know that like everything's not gonna always be perfect, and I've learned to not harp on the negative, and instead of like having like negative comments, I just learn from either people around me. And just since I have so much support from this community, I figure I might as well learn about them since they're supporting me. So
Good.
Why not? So I'm excited to see whatever happens in the future.
Good on you, Washington. All right. Well, where do you want to send people to find you, follow you, support you, all those wonderful things?
Well, if you would like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Washi Heights, WASHHEIGHTS. I forgot how to spell. And then Instagram is _Washington Heights, and Facebook it's Washington Heights Drag Queen. So, yep.